Um, let's see, as far as announcements go for today, not a whole lot going on other than NCCT prep meetings are continuing on Tuesdays at 2. And that's about it. I do want to congratulate, we are in October now, and I have got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 6, 9, 9 of you guys that are graduating out of my program this month. And I want to just say congratulations and kudos to y'all for your hard work and dedication. It's been, 9 months of just learning everything you can and soaking it up, and just well done, folks. Well done. Congratulations. I hope y'all are as proud of yourselves as I am of y'all. And I look forward to seeing what y'all do with this opportunity. All right. So today we are going to talk about, we're going to continue on with our insurance theme that we've been running with since we're in Health Care Programs 1. And we did Medicare a couple of weeks ago. We did Blue Cross and commercial insurance last week. We hit on that. So this week, I noticed in our labs that are coming up tomorrow and early next week, you guys are going to be starting to fill out CMS forms for secondary payers and secondary insurances. So that's what I want to kind of talk about today, is the processes that are involved when a patient has a secondary form of insurance, um, a primary and a secondary, and sometimes there's even a third, and that's called a tertiary. So I've got just 2 slides that we're going to look at that kind of outlines the process. Uh, and I will share my screen now, and we'll get into it a little bit. All right. Give me a head nod if you can see the process. Thank you. All right. So we're going to start at the provider's office and say that our patient has been seen by the doctor. So our office is going to generate the claims throughout the day. And at the end of the day, like y'all have heard me say, we're going to send a batch, right? We're going to put all of these claims together, and we're going to send them either to a clearinghouse, or we're going to send them directly to insurance companies. If they're a smaller insurance company, they may not be signed up with a clearinghouse, and we may have to send those differently. Like it says, any claims that need to be sent via fax or mail are printed and prepared to send at this time also, at the end of the day. We kind of submit them in our systems all throughout the day, and then at the end of the day, we batch it all together and do what we have to do with it, get it sent out, right? All right, so those claims are going to go out one of 2 ways. They're either going to go to the clearinghouse. The clearinghouse will check claims for typical errors and either sends it right back to us for correcting, or sends it on to the insurance company for processing. All right, now when I'm talking about typical errors, the clearinghouse is going to check for simple things like the wrong insurance number not on our claim, the wrong date of birth, the patient's last name is spelled incorrectly, um, anything that it can recognize really simply that they automatically know is going to cause us a rejection with the insurance company. They're going to send it right back, and they're going to say, hey, we found this. So we're going to find out about that the very next day. We'll print a report when we get to the office in the morning, usually, and it'll have everything that rejected that we tried to send out. So we'll go through claim by claim, fix them, and get them ready to go into that day's batch the very next day. Okay. After that, the insurance company is going to process the claim, and either it's going to pay or it's going to deny. And I got multiple arrows because the clearinghouse is connected to multiple insurance companies. It's going to send out to Blue Cross. It's going to send out to Medicare. It's going to send out to Vantage. It's going to send out to United Healthcare. All the big boys are usually signed up with your clearinghouses, Aetna, all your big commercial insurance companies. All right. And then after that, once the insurance companies get them, we are going to follow up on that claim until it is resolved. And I say resolved instead of paid because they don't always pay. Sometimes we end up having to bill the patient. Sometimes we end up having to adjust off or write off some stuff, right, for allowances. So we use the word resolved instead of, I say resolved instead of paid. We're getting it figured out, right, to a resolution. All right, so the second way, if we have to send it directly to the insurance company, and this is the way it used to always happen before there were clearinghouses, okay? We would send it to the insurance company, they process the claim, and it either pays or denies. But at that point, we have to wait to receive either an EOB or some other document to find out what happened with that claim. And that can take anywhere from 2 weeks, 30 days. I've seen it 60 days. And if your billing office is not necessarily where your facility is, if they're in different locations, you may not get that information at all. You may have to go search for it. And that takes time, right? So y'all can see how the clearinghouse saves us a lot of time on simple mistakes, okay? Because we're going to try to be as accurate as we can, but we're human, right? We mess up. Everybody makes mistakes. So the clearinghouse kind of saves us that 2 week to 30-day turnaround time for a simple mistake, okay? Now, after we figure out what's going on, the insurance company processes the claim and either pays or denies, and we follow up until resolved. Generally, we're trying to hit that account, work that account at least every 30 days. And the reason being because number one, that's how billing cycles and statements go out every 30 days. Number two, we have timely filing guidelines that we have to keep an eye on. So if we're not staying on top of these accounts in a timely fashion and being efficient with it, we may miss a timely filing deadline. And then guess what? Our claim does not get paid. It gets written off and our doctor loses money. So in an ideal world, we're hitting every account that's not resolved every at least 3 weeks to, 3 to 4 weeks or so. Now, if you have a clinic or a facility or a provider's office that is so big, like I said before, you may be only responsible for the commercial insurances, or you may be only responsible for the Medicaid, or you may be responsible for everything. It just depends on how that office is set up. Okay. So that's the two ways we originally file the claims. Clearinghouse or directly to the insurance companies. 90% of stuff is going through the clearinghouse these days, guys. Everything's going as electronic as we can get it, it seems like. All right, so go to my next slide. All right, so let's talk a little bit more about this secondary insurance thing. So some patients have it and some patients don't. And it is your older patients who are more likely to have a secondary insurance. And it's because they have Medicare primary and then some other kind of supplement as secondary. Or if it's a situation where they're getting veterans benefits from VA, but they're still in the workforce. So they have group insurance through their employer as well. They may have two insurances like that. So most of your patients are only going to have the one, but you will see a fair amount with two insurances. Now, here's the great thing about Medicare. All right, so after the primary insurance has processed the claim, we submit the claim to the secondary. We have to include the processing details of the primary insurance. So here's the great thing about Medicare. If the primary payer is Medicare and the patient has done their coordination and benefits, we've talked about that before. You see that little acronym COB, that means coordination of benefits. And that is when a patient lets their insurance company know, hey, I have other coverage now. I have a secondary. You're going to be my primary. They're going to be my secondary. And that way the insurance is aware of all the patient's coverage and they can do their thing. This is particularly helpful with Medicare because Medicare, if they are aware of the patient secondary, they will automatically send it to the secondary after they pay. So that saves us a lot of time on having to file to the secondary. Instead of waiting for whatever Medicare says, processing that, fixing the secondary claim and sending that all off, Medicare just processes it and sends it for us. And then bam, it's done for us. We don't have to spend that time doing that. So that's the great thing about if they have Medicare as primary and they coordinate their benefits. Now, a common problem with a lot of these older folks is getting them on the phone with an insurance company to coordinate their benefits. I've had cases where I've had patients who would not make the phone call. And I would end up having to send them a bill. And they're like, well, why won't you send? I have a secondary. And I'm like, your secondary has said they will not pay it because your primary won't give them any information because you've not coordinated your benefits. So I have to bill you until you make that call. So and that doesn't happen often, but it does happen with some of your elderly folks that can be a little stubborn. So just something to keep in mind. All right, so after Medicare processes and it goes to the secondary insurance company processes the claim and again either pays or denies. We have to wait to receive that EOB or other document. And again, that's 2 weeks to 30 days, depending on the company. Okay. So if it is not Medicare and it is not automatically sent, it'll go this second way. All right. And basically what we have to do, it can be done electronically. I think through most websites now, especially like Blue Cross with their Island Blue website, you can submit, if their Blue Cross is secondary, you can, I believe you can submit their primary, submit the claims and their primary EOBs on there. We used to, the way we had to do it was, I would have to print out the EOB for their primary insurance, get the computer to generate the claim for the second. You have to input all of the primaries, what they allowed, what they said was deductible, what they said was patient's responsibility. You have to input all of that and then do another claim to send to the secondary with all that information entered in, right? And then you attach the EOB from the primary. You have to have proof of it. You attach and then send all that together. We mailed it a lot of the times, and there was a lot of times they would accept it by fax. But again, I think now a lot of the times that we can send electronically straight through the computer, and we don't have to print all that out and go snail mail with it. But again, every time we do that, we're playing that waiting game with the insurance company to hear back. And again, if your billing office is outside of your facility or your mail doesn't go directly to the place where you work, you may never get these EOBs. And that's when we really shine because we get to go research and follow up and make ourselves an asset and figure out what's going on. But that is secondary insurance filing in a nutshell. Okay. And the follow-up part of that, guys, that's where when I was showing y'all Microsoft Excel and I tell you to get familiar with that, that's where Microsoft Excel shines. I'll go ahead and stop sharing. Is when you're trying to do that follow-up and you have these lists of patients and it allows you to organize that data by priority. You know what I mean? By what you need to work first. And that's highest dollar amounts and oldest claims. That's always going to be top priority before newer claims that are lower dollar amounts. Okay. We want to hit our older ones because the timely filings and to get it off the books. And our newer ones, we still have that time. And the big dollar stuff, we got to get off our books. Any questions? Any questions about insurance's primary versus secondary payer? And here's a pro tip. If somebody has Medicaid and another insurance, say they have Blue Cross or something through, say it's a child, and they were born with Medicaid coverage, and at some point the mom gets a job where she has benefits and she signs her and the child up for it. The child still has Medicaid, but now they have a commercial policy through the mom's work, right? So the ideal thing to do there is for the mom to coordinate the benefits with Medicaid and let Medicaid know, hey, we have a primary payer, because here's the deal with Medicaid. If they have another insurance, Medicaid will 100% of the time be secondary. It will be their last insurance. If they've got 3 insurances, Medicaid will be the last, if that's one of them. Okay. Everything's going to process before Medicaid's going to touch anything, if they have other coverages. So that's just something to keep in mind. If you come across a patient that has Medicaid and it's being sent out as primary and there's another insurance, that's automatically, you know, that's wrong. It's got to be sent to that other insurance first. Now, situation I had was very similar to that with my daughter. When she was born, we only had Medicaid coverage, and then when I went to work for Unitech, I was able to get her on our Blue Cross. Now, I called Medicaid 3 different times to coordinate her benefits, and they never would update her file. Never would. So, from the time that I got commercial insurance from her, my doctor's office, they would send me the bill and I'd be like, look, she has Medicaid as a secondary. And they said, well, you have to call and coordinate the benefits. And I'm like, I've called and coordinated the benefits 3 times and they've not updated the file. And there's nothing we can do. If they don't update the file, we can't bill to them. So that's something to keep in mind as well, from both aspects of it, whether you have Medicaid as a resource in your life, or if you're dealing with it in the work situation, it's always going to be secondary. And they have to, just like with Medicare, they've got to coordinate those benefits or somebody somewhere is not going to pay or get billed. Okay. Good stuff. Good stuff. Any questions, concerns, anything before I let y'all go for the day? No? Did that help clear up anything or help at all? Yeah, a little bit. Okay. Good deal. Good enough. All right, guys. Well, thank y'all for your time. I appreciate it. And y'all have a wonderful rest of your Thursday. And I will see y'all next week. Bye bye.